Well, I'm sitting on the same chair as Magnus Carlsen was a few hours ago when his team, Norway, took on Uruguay. Now, Uruguay is not a very strong team in chess, but recently, Georg Mayer, who was German number one for several years, has now transferred to Uruguay and he was playing on the top board. So it was Magnus versus Georg, and this was the position on the board. Now, Magnus had the white pieces and the engines were shouting 0.00, it's a draw. But Magnus was like, wait for it. First he gives a check here as white. Now black has only moved to go to h7. And so Magnus comes back with another check. Now at this position, it's already starting to get tricky. Do you play your king to h8? Do you play your king to g8? It's very tough in the queen endgames to decide where to go. And so Georg played king h8. But here's a beautiful line. If he had gone king g8, now king g6, which looks like a completely winning move, because see, there are no checks in the position. This is controlled by the queen. There is absolutely no check. Here comes a stunning move. The move is queen g7 check. And you might say, what? It's a free queen. I'll just take it. Yes, you take it. And I make another queen here. Notice how this queen is pinned, so you can't give a check. And so if you take here, it's a stalemate. Maybe queen f5, you can't take it because takes means king f5. But maybe you can just give a check here and then continue, and then this position is a draw. So in the game, he played king h8. And now there is no draw after king g6. There is no queen g7 draws. But now black plays the only move. He makes a bishop here, which was interesting. In came a check. King g5. He gives another check. And now comes queen f5. And at this position, Georg had to find another important move here. And it was very tough. Because notice, if you give a check, which is normal, I give a counter check. And the queens are traded and the pawn endgame is won. So you can't do that here. So that's the reason why after queen c5, queen f5, here the only move is queen c7. What a move this is. And the reason for that is that if you do anything, let's say king h5, check. Again, stalemate. You see, queen endgames are notorious for their stalemate ideas. And now, let's say, for example, you give a check, I can go king g8. It's not a mate yet, and it's not easy to checkmate. So, in this position, after queen c7, it's still a draw. But Georg went check here, and he made a mistake. Because now, after queen f4, the game is over. There are no more checks. He gave one more check here, but after king g6, the checks are coming to an end. Queen f6 is coming up, and he resigned the game. With this, Magnus Carlsen managed to win another, that typical drawish endgame with his fortitious play, not giving up, that typical Magnus style. And he scores his first win in India after becoming a world champion. Last one was in 2013 when he became a world champion, and this was his first classical game after that. What a game.